It's all for you!
Stop! Stop! I didn't mean it. Close the bodies and you only move the headstones! You only move the headstones!
What's up, everybody? I'm Reggae Mortis.
And I'm here with Boris Lagosa.
Master. I'm ready to bargain.
All right, everybody, welcome back. This is episode 15. For episode 15, we are covering the film The Mephisto Waltz. Go ahead and kick the facts, Boris.
Boris Lagosa here, ghouls. Before I kick off the facts, I just want to send a special shout out to the first responders and all the healthcare workers and the essential employees working during the COVID-19 outbreak. You're all not forgotten. We all think about you guys, how you keep us all safe. Thank you. This week, kicking the facts on the film The Mephisto Waltz, made in 1971. I could not find box office and budget data for this film. I don't know why, but I could not find it. This film stars Alan Alda as Miles Clarkson, Jacqueline Bisset as Paula Clarkson, and Barbara Parkins as the evil Roxanne. This was 20th Century Fox Productions, and here we go. Here's the facts here. A pianist virtuoso with the help of Satan, a family torn between riches and sanity. Have you ever been afraid? Very afraid. The Mephisto Waltz, the 1971 horror film by Paul Wenkos, dives into the story of the Clarkson family, a seemingly American dream-stricken family headed by Miles, a music journalist set on his goal of being a pianist or a rising musician. In the beginning of the film, we see him meeting with a man by the name of Duncan Ely, a pianist virtuoso. As Miles gets to know Duncan, their relationship seems to take quite a liking. As we dive into this movie, Paula, played by the beautiful Jacqueline Bisset, from almost the get-go is very leery and suspicious of Duncan and his daughter. From the moment of the party where she finds suspicious things in his office to the thoughts of an incestuous relationship of Duncan and his daughter, you will find out that Duncan is suffering from leukemia in this film, and a ritual is performed on Duncan as you see him start to fade away in health. Duncan, who is a known Satanist, knows his fate, and knows his connection with Miles is for a reason, as he is showering him with gifts and takes a liking of the family. Duncan eventually would pass away from leukemia when it was revealed during the reading of the will that he leaves Miles with $100,000 in cash, and Miles takes over Duncan's piano shows. Miles becomes what he has always wanted to become, a rising musician and a virtuoso. As Paula, the whole time, is obviously leery and suspicious, she is kind of turned on by Miles' new attitude, his new persona, and the way he fronts himself. You then would find out in this film that Miles has transformed into Duncan pretty much, his consciousness, everything, and Miles is sort of in relations with Roxanne. Roxanne makes a mold of Miles' face as a ritualistic way to bring Miles closer to her. Horror and tragedy would strike as the family as Paula is sort of in a trance, ritualistic dream when she put the blue type liquid on Paula and Miles. As Roxanne puts the blue goop, I guess I call it, on their daughter. As Abby turns ill, she's in the hospital. Unfortunately, she tragically dies from this illness. Doctors can't figure it out. Nurses can't figure it out. Eventually, Paula puts two and two together, and it's become from the satanic cult. Paula is in a race against time to stop this. Miles is in his own little selfish diatribe from being Duncan. So as the movie goes on, Paula has a relationship of sorts with Roxanne's ex-husband as Bill, as Paula later figures out from the death of Abby and the things Bill said about the family, that the incestuous relationship between Duncan and Roxanne was a part of a grand scheme to make a deal with Satan. Paula gets her revenge as she gets information to fulfill a ritual of her own, injecting her consciousness into Roxanne. Paula's body has Roxanne's conscious as Paula commits suicide in the bathtub, killing Roxanne. Paula, who now lives in Roxanne's shell, embraces Miles again as the relationship starts all over again between Paula and Miles, with Miles unknowingly thinking Paula is in there in Roxanne's shell now, as Paula is taking over Roxanne's body. My takeaways from the Mephisto Waltz was I really enjoyed watching this movie, and I thought it was good for its time. The acting was up to par. I think Jacqueline Bisset kind of saved this movie. I will go into detail. I love the show MASH, and Alan Alda is a great actor, but this movie was not for him. Jacqueline Bisset's acting and actually Barbara Parkin's acting is the acting that saved this film. I thought for its time it was great and cutting edge, but I feel that Alda was definitely miscast in this film. For some of the scenes, I feel like he didn't show the emotion right for the scenes in the film, for the tragic scenes, for the intense scenes. I think Alan Alda seemed like Alda just wasn't fit for the part, but great actor, not dissing Alan Alda at all. But I will then turn it over to Rig for his thoughts, and what do you think about Alan Alda's performance in this film? Rig.
All right, my thoughts. I mean, my first thing is Alan Alda. I don't think he was too badly casted. I think make him better someone else, but he did have giant long fingers, which is good for a pianist or whatever, however you pronounce it. But other than that, I think there was a couple of scenes where it was very bland, but it was also at the point where he wasn't like, he was playing a part of like a Satanist that was, a heartless piece of shit. So when the daughter died and everything, it wasn't very like emotional. Like he lacked that emotion. But I don't think it was necessarily him. I think he was just the character he was portraying was just a heartless piece of shit. But anyway, my thoughts of this movie. See, first things first, every 70s horror film has like the best music. And this one being about a musician, it really did it had the perfect. I really did love that. And what is it with? Here we are back in the 70s movies, and every woman in the 70s is just hot as shit. That was just like a hell of an era right there. But this movie for me, I really enjoyed it, but then it kind of lost me close towards the end, and then the very end was good too. But that like the last I felt like they had like filler in there. So, of course, you start off the movie. You got Alan's character, Miles, and his wife. And to me, I thought her character sucked, but she kind of got cool at the end, and she did like a huge, comeback at the end. It was pretty cool, revived herself. But she just was like, pain in the fucking ass the whole movie, annoying as shit to me. And then, of course, she just seemed like, just like you watch this movies like back in the 70s. It's like, man, men ran shit back then. It's fucking crazy. I was laughing. I was like, man, like she's just like, she's just constantly jealous and constantly he's just like, you're fine. I could never show up at the middle of the night, drunk as shit and like, oh yeah, we drank. Me and so had a conversation. It was great. We had a great time. Ain't no way in hell. I guess we just lost our balls somewhere along the line. But get back to the movie. Well, it's just like I thought. The very beginning, of course, is the foreshadowing when the little girl answers the phone, the daughter answers the phone, and it's Duncan Eli trying to call Miles, and she's just like, oh, they're always like that little girl. I don't really care for her as an actor, but they show her writing the name, and it shows this giant bat. I'm like, man, is he gonna be like a vampire? From the picture, it looks like some kind of like satanic cult or some shit. But I'm like, it's gonna be like a vampire. It's gonna have like a transformation. I was really hoping to have some type of transformation, even with the dog too. I was like, man, what the fuck's her name? The hot broad, his daughter. I was like, is she gonna turn into that dog? Because it seems like it's like, oh, it's this dog shows up whenever this person got killed by the dog and everything else, and just a horrific dog, just it's constantly showing up all the time. He's just creepy. I'm like, I wonder if she's like takes the form of a dog, like she just has like this, she can morph into shit or something, or almost like this type of like werewolf type thing, or just like almost like you watch Bram Stoker's Dracula when he can kind of like turn to that beast, but it never happened, so I was kind of disappointed about that. But whole thing sets up. He's like trying to become this. He's a writer. He wants to cover this famous pianist Duncan Ely. He goes to his house. Of course, they hit it off. He has these giant fingers, which you think, oh, he seems like he's definitely a skilled pianist, but also at the same time he's like, okay, he's got giant fingers. His wife's pretty hot. I'm definitely going to take his form. So I'm dying of cancer. Everyone, I pretend like this is my daughter, but I don't think it's his daughter. I think it's just like almost has that let the right one in or let me in kind of thing vibe, where it's like constantly getting passed on to different hosts. Like she has her her host, and it's young for a long time, so she's good, but of course like his original host has been getting old now and passed on probably from a previous husband to the father it's just like a weird situation. But you pick up on that vibe pretty quick. Okay, they're definitely some kind of Satanist. They had the little party, has the dog head, and she makes these makes these like these masks. And of course, later on you find out like she uses the face. It's almost like I guess it's like part like, okay, here's the face, now I take your form type of thing. Where this dog, whereas like you walk in this crazy 70s party, like just women naked on top of the table dancing, and of course Miles' wife's being a cunt like always, and she's bitching because they're having fun, and she just hates the fact that she has to enjoy her life. I really could not stand her character. And then she's like walking through, and there's this dog with a man's mask on. It's like creepy as shit looking, but that shit made me laugh. And of course she goes to the party, she gets pissed off, and she finds out like about the Roxanne. She shows her all her art, and she's like, oh yeah, I don't want to like it. She's just like a bitch to her. You can just like, you can see the setup, like she just made herself out to be a victim, because the whole time she's like, maybe she could have I think they're, regardless of what was going to happen, they're still planning on taking Miles, but maybe she could have helped her out a little bit by being a little more pleasant. Anyway, so making a long story short, she goes in, she takes it from Miles's body, takes Duncan Eli, takes it from Miles's body, and then he goes back, and I started laughing because he immediately went back and like fucked his wife, who was being a bitch the entire time. And then of course they have this back and forth, and then she has always crazy dreams. The dream sequences were pretty good. He comes, he's like, oh yeah, by the way, I gotta like kill your daughter. I'm not sure, but I guess it's maybe like a virgin sacrifice or how it worked, or just eliminating anyone that can be involved. I guess what I think it might have been. But of course, like to kill her, all that stuff, and then this movie's starting to pick up, and then like she's starting to pick up on and realize like, oh, something's going on. Like I feel like he died, now he's acting just like him, but like she's hooked on the new sex because he's acting crazy, and she's like, I guess he's fucking her good because they have some kind of like, that's like one deal they get, like, okay, like I'll sell you my soul, but I need to get like, I need to be the bit of the shit in the sack, so. And then randomly, like she talks about, she ends up, like she's investigating this whole thing, investigating Miles, but she's still hooked on the money because he leaves her all this money. He leaves Miles all this money, but she still can't stand Roxanne. Doesn't trust Roxanne, but at the same time, like she's still hooked on like fucking Miles because she's like this whole rich man, and I don't know, it's weird. But then she like finds out about Roxanne's ex-husband. And she wants to go find out more about him, what's up with Roxanne, what's this whole backstory. They have this creepy, like, incestuous vibe with her father. And, like, pretty much Roxanne was just like, listen, like, yeah, he was okay, but I kicked him to the curb. Like, he was less of a man than what she needed. She needed something better. But then Miss Clarkson, just like, or what's her face? I call her Mrs. Clarkson. But Miles' wife, she goes and meets this guy and hooks up with this guy. I was like, how are you getting back at Roxanne and your husband or whatever for having sex with someone she didn't even give a shit about anymore? She just literally just kicked to the curb because he was less of a man and couldn't please her or whatever, like, because she was so used to, like, the Satanist sex or whatever how they're doing. But she goes by and she does this weird thing, like she's trying to get back at Roxanne by, like, picking up her scraps. And of course that guy gets killed. And then it's like it has this whole, like, weird, like, I don't understand, like, the whole, like, it was like filler. It's like 20 minutes of filler. I'm like, what the hell is this? Where's this movie going? Like, Miles just like, okay, I'm gonna buy this, and yeah, we're gonna do this, and I'm writing this music, and he just like, and then, like, he's like sleeping with Roxanne, sleeping with his wife, and then she runs off and tries to get back at him, and then that does nothing, and then of course, really comes full circle is when she comes and she's like, okay, listen, the only way to get Miles back and to get back at Roxanne is to do exactly what she did to me. So she, like, sells her soul to the devil, and then she goes and she takes a cast of Roxanne's face, puts the dot on Roxanne's head, and then goes upstairs and slits both her wrists and gets in the bathtub and puts the mask on. And it is like a really fucked up, like, dark scene, but straight 70s. Of course, like, there's gonna be some kind of crazy dark shit in there. But probably one of my favorite parts in the whole movie is, like, and probably some of the best acting is, like, just the look on her face when she's, like, does the whole seance and she's the whole, like, master thing, like, I'm ready to make a bargain. Just her eyes, like, the intensity in her eyes was so. I really like that part. I'm like, man, like, this is some superb acting. And she just looked like it was like you can see the fear, like, it's almost like fear, excitement, like she was just down to taking Roxanne out, and she was going to do whatever she had to do to get Miles back in whatever form she had. So, she had to take Roxanne and be Roxanne. But it was crazy, and how it ended like that. And then but yeah, like, after that whole scene, and then it kind of, like, shit again. I don't know, it was weird. So it's a fucking weird movie, but for what it was good.